everyone, welcome back to Art a la Carte and the third chapter in our Choose Your Own Adventure story. But if you're brand new to these videos and you don't know what the Choose Your Adventure video series are, I will link the first video in the description box below. I'll explain the rules and how things work and catch you up on the story. But basically, each chapter I leave it off at a cliffhanger and I'll let you guys vote what happens next. So I tell a little bit of the story, you guys choose where that story goes, and then I have to figure out the rest. So let's find out what happens to Moonstone, Ember the Imp, and the Dragon Egg. As the light of the egg continued to fade, the unicorn knew what might save it, yet she also knew what it would cost. Imp, if you are sure of your promise to protect this egg, follow me. Then she turned and walked into the forest. Ember paused only for a moment, then scooped the egg up gently in her arms and ran after the unicorn. At first, the trees were thin enough for Ember to see the star and moon shining in the black sky above them, but as they continued, the woods grew thicker, the trees larger, old and worn. Fear began to rise in Ember's throat. If she lost sight of the unicorn, she might very well remain lost forever in this woods. "Hey, wait up!" she called. "This egg isn't as light as you think." The unicorn paused for a moment to allow the imp to catch up with her before continuing. Ember, walking alongside her, asked, "So, these are your woods? Like you're the big boss here, master of all the trees?" She laughed weakly. "The woods belong to no one. They are their own master," replied the unicorn. Ember paused. "Does every forest have a unicorn?" "Not anymore. Only the old forests welcome my kind. And in turn we protect them from hunters and wildfires." Moon shivered, thinking how useless she would be against a dragon's fury. Yet here she was, bringing a dragon's egg into the very heart of the woods. She only hoped she was doing the right thing. As the two walked on in silence, the woods grew ever thicker until Ember began to wonder how much further they could even go. Suddenly, the woods opened up into a circular clearing. "This place," Ember whispered, pausing at the edge of the circle. All around the ring grew a different type of tree. Oak and willow, aspen and pine, and trees she had never seen before. Moon turned to see the girl backing slowly away from the clearing. "Come, bring the egg." "I dare not enter," spoke the imp. We have a place like this at my home. It's called the Hearth. It's where the imps keep the rainbow flames and our queen lives. Any outsider that tries to enter here is cast into our dungeons." Moonstone was surprised. The young imp understood the importance of this place, and though it differed from her own, showed it the respect it deserved. That was something she thought only the old remembered. "The heart of the forest is such a place as your hearth, but fear not, you are my guest and may freely enter." The imp waited a moment and then slowly entered, not taking her gaze off the trees surrounding them. "Place the egg here," the unicorn gestured with her horn to a spot near the center of the clearing. Ember walked up, gently placing the egg down in the soft grass, which seemed to grow up to meet it. Tiny vines began to curl around the edges, as if the woods were inspecting every part. Suddenly the wind began to blow, and the large tree before them began to glow. Ember jumped up and, without thinking, put her hand on the unicorn's shoulder, trying to gather her courage. A voice, like the sound of wind blowing through leaves, called out, "You have been the guardian of the woods. Since the first tree sprouted, never a flame has burned our branches, nor a creature set upon by hunters. You have served well, yet to our very heart you bring this destruction." Ember blinked. I'd never do anything to hurt this place." "They do not mean you," Moon whispered. And Ember's eyes went to the egg. She saw large vines had grown and were aiming down at the egg like wooden daggers. They meant to destroy the egg, not heal it. "No!" she cried and flung herself between the egg and danger. "Please don't hurt it. Let us go. I'll take it far away from here." Vines wrapped around her ankles and began to pull her away from the egg as more trees began to glow. Ember tore at her ankles, trying to free herself, but they grew ever stronger. She turned and grabbed a soft earth, tearing up clumps as she tried to get back to the egg. As fear for the egg welled within her, so did anger. She knew she couldn't defeat the forest, But she would not let them kill the egg, not without a fight, even if it cost her everything. From her fingers, a red glow began to pulse, and sparking flames ignited from her fingertips. Enough! 2 white hooves came down between Ember and the vines. The unicorn's horn glowed a brilliant white. I am not a deceiver. I brought this girl here for your help, not to be frightened. The lights from the trees faded, until only a woman stood before them. Had Ember not been frightened for her life, she might have been awestruck, for the woman's dark face and bright green eyes were framed by long, deep green braids. Whether the braids were of hair or small leaves, you couldn't tell. Her gown, decorated with small vines, leaves, and flowers, flowed around her ankles.
Come, my friend,
the woman spoke.
We only meant to test the imp's resolve.
Moonstone's horn returned to normal, and she stepped towards the woman. I do not approve of the wood's theatrics. A simple question would have sufficed.
Would it, though?
The woman smiled.
Actions speak much louder than words.
Turning to the imp, she reached out a hand.
You have proven your bravery.
Ember did not take the woman's hand, but stood on her own. Then will you help us? She asked a bit more cautiously. The woman's smile faded.
We cannot undo the damage done.
Ember's shoulders fell, and the woman added,
But we can hold back death for a time. Time enough, perhaps, for you to solve the mystery of the dragon's wrath and right the wrongs done.
Really? Ember asked excitedly. You really can? Oh, thank you. She bent down to the egg, whispering, It's all right, little one. We can fix this. The woman looked back to the unicorn.
You know what we can do, and what it will cost.
Moon stared a moment. Memories. Memories of an older unicorn from long ago surfaced in her mind. She remembered. I do, she replied softly.
Ember of the fire imps,
the woman called out. Ember looked up and saw many more figures standing around them, each in front of a tree from the circle. Suddenly she realized they were dryads, tree people. Getting to her feet again, Ember walked to stand in front of the woman who called her. Yes, she answered.
We ask this night, before those who witness, your pledge, your oath, your vow, to take upon yourself the responsibility of this egg, born from fire, destined to fly. Do you vow, care, provide, and protect this egg from now until it takes flight?
Ember was taken aback for the moment, those words. But then blinking, she squared her shoulders and answered firmly, Yes. Light burst forth again, but brighter this time, so bright Ember reached up to cover her eyes with her hands. The wind roared deafeningly, and the very earth seemed to shake beneath her feet. Ember began to fall, but the moment her knees touched the ground, everything stopped. Slowly, she pulled her hands back and looked around. The trees were all normal. The only light now was from the moon above them, and the silence. The egg, she gasped, turning around to where it had lain, and there, in the spot where the egg had once been, was your next choice. Once again, it's time to vote. If you look in the top right-hand corner, you will see the eye icon. Sometimes you have to kind of wiggle your mouse or touch the screen to see it. Click that and we'll drop down the poll option. For this chapter, you get 2 choices, and as always, your choice will greatly determine the direction the story takes. I've also decided not to announce what the 2 choices are here, just in case there's some of my viewers who don't want spoilers. Another thing that you might find a little bit different is the art style. In the past, I have done a main focal point piece for each chapter, whereas this chapter, I decided to do it more of a storyboard. I thought it would be kind of fun to see it kind of in a comic book setting. So let me know, which would you rather prefer? The finished piece or a kind of rougher art that's more of a storytelling aid? Anyway, if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And as always, thanks for watching. God bless you guys, and we'll see you in the next art video. Bye-bye!